In 1882, a woman by the name of Madeleine Vinton Dahlgren would write a book by the name of South Mountain Magic. It was in this book that the uncanny reality of the mountainous areas of Maryland would be finally documented for the world to learn of. The likes of witches, wizards, Haints, and creatures such as the Snallygaster and Dwayyo would finally escape the hills and hollers of South Mountain. Among these creatures, and many others, is one canine that was so feared and respected in the 1800s that the people who called the South Mountain area home thought of this creature as real as any other in the woods. A creature not fully of the physical world, but rather one that can control its form in a way that had many mountaineers running for their lives, snapping in and out of existence, growing to enormous sizes, and snarling at its witnesses. Miss Dahlgren simply called it the dog-fiend, but the locals eventually called it the Snarly Yow. Welcome back to Infinite Rabbit Hole, and welcome back to the Paranormal Network.
Yay.
Yay. All right. Mr. Beef is checking out the TV. He's like, I like watching it from here.
Yeah, no, he's on the lookout. Yeah, I know. That's right. Okay. We're going to mute the microphone now. All right.
Welcome back to the Infinite Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Jeremy, and today we're going to be diving back into South Mountain of Maryland, into another Maryland piece of folklore. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and announce our host for the day. Kid's gone. So,
where is Kid?
She's not here today.
Oh, okay.
She said she wanted nothing to do with us, and she left. But she said she'll be back next week. So, Jake, since you already chimed in, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Dude, I'm beat. Whitney had her knee surgery last week. I've been taking care of her, running the house, doing all that sort of stuff. But I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Real man's man, huh?
Yeah.
Well, good on you, man. You need to take care of her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she matters more than you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah. She makes more money than me, so yes.
Knee surgery is rough, too. That's a tough recovery.
She had a knee replacement.
Oof.
She had a botched surgery that deteriorated her bone and destroyed her tendons, and so she had to have a knee replacement. So yeah.
Oh God, I'm glad that you're taking
31.
care of her. That sucks.
So she's home all day tomorrow, then, right?
Yeah.
Good. I'm gonna place Mark with her. All right, moving on.
Man, we've been home all week. You haven't hit me up once. What is this trash?
Moving on, like I said, the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Jeff. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you. 'Tis my birthday. I am doing well. As everybody can see on the Paranormal Network, I am standing. Yes, I have legs, and yes, they work. My knees are okay. I am standing because I've been sitting all day. Whoa, bro.
Wow,
all right?
that was very ableist of you.
Don't take it personal, bro. Okay?
You're going to get Tanya Hardinged, dude. Like, it's going to happen now.
She's going to crack your knee open.
You've done goofed.
So I guess the conspiracy that you had a mermaid tail is incorrect, but that doesn't mean you don't have reptilian legs. So
that's true. We can't see them.
And I'm wearing long pants, so you shall never know.
Do his knees bend backwards?
Scaly reptilian legs.
Like,
But no, everything's good. I'm good. I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm here. We're doing the thing. Shout out to Mystery Mike. I got my stickers from the Hush Hush Society Conspiracy Hour today. Love the stickers. Thanks, Mike.
I also got my stickers a long time ago.
Yeah, like 3 weeks ago.
And
thanks, Mike.
I'll say thank you to Declassified Dave because he sent them to me.
I messed up and put the wrong address, so he sent them to my neighbor. So my neighbor got a bunch of weird stickers, and they're probably what is going on?
You know, I also got them from Dave. Yeah, forget Mike. Thanks, Dave.
Did Dave send them?
Yeah.
Dave sent them. Excuse me, Dave.
Yeah.
Begging your pardon.
Yeah, who's Mike? Thanks, Dave.
Mike's just the guy that came on. Shoot.
I get confused. I listen to too much of the show. All the voices blend together.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move into like the excitement of the day, right? So let's get into our guest. Yes, we have a guest tonight, and she is the owner and founder of the American Snallygaster Museum in Frederick, Maryland. Making her second appearance on the Infinite Rabbit Hole, I would like to welcome back Sarah Cooper into the Infinite Rabbit Hole and welcoming her and introducing her for the first time to the Paranormal Network. Welcome,
Yeah, hi.
Sarah.
I'm happy to be back. I have a little cryptid with me here today who did not want to go to sleep. So we're trying to do our best.
I did not do a write-up for him. I'm sorry.
It's okay. His name's Mr. Beef. He likes taking markers out of a jar and throwing them on the ground and pizza.
Ah,
That's all you
yes.
got to know.
Mm-hmm.
Very
As
nice.
do many cryptids. That's
Yep.
that's kind of a typical cryptid thing is pens and cups and pizza.
Mayhem.
Yes.
And mayhem.
Mayhem.
So how you been? How's the museum going?
It's going. We're still event only for the time being, and I had to cancel Jersey Devil Fable Fest because we had a COVID scare, so that was a bummer. But we're trying to come back from all that stress and be positive and move forward. I think our next one is Whiteville UFO Fest, which we're really excited to do.
I was going to ask if that one passed already because I knew that was next on your docket.
Yeah, it's June 11th. I can't remember. I think it's June 11th, and we're sponsors of the event, so we got a logo up on their billboard and stuff. It was really neat.
Nice.
We're stoked, yeah.
That's in Virginia, right?
Yeah.
Whitesville, Virginia?
Or Whiteville.
White?
Whiteville.
You said
WYTHE. 11th,
June?
yeah. It's like a Saturday.
Oh,
my-
yeah, no, this is totally coming out after that. Oops.
Yeah, too bad.
So if you can time travel,
Mm-hmm.
go back to the 10th so you can get a hotel room
Mm-hmm.
in Whitesburg, Virginia. Wrightsville.
If you can time travel, go back to like 2008 and tell me to buy Bitcoin,
Yeah.
preferably, rather than go to a UFO festival. I would like that a little more.
Tell me to start this podcast earlier. So I
Yeah.
won't be stressed out about this 100th episode coming up.
I don't
Okay.
trust Bitcoin.
This is 95, by the way.
Dang.
Just throwing it out there. Yeah,
I
pretty awesome.
remember our inability to get episode 1 out.
Yes.
Oh, we
true.
sucked so bad. I think we still suck.
So, Sarah, you actually were on the show not too long ago for the
Mhm.
Snallygaster episode. How many flocks and drones of human beings did you get running up there to Maryland to come buy Snallygaster stuff?
Not too many, unfortunately, but it's okay. They're all on the internet. They're fine.
Oh, I got a cat at my feet. Well, all right. You ready to start talking some Yow?
Yeah, let's talk Yow.
All right. I'm going to go same thing as last time, Sarah. I'm just going to do the thing, and then you're going to say, no, that was pretty dumb, and tell me what really happened. And we got through the whole intro without mentioning Pogballin. Congratulations, guys.
But you did say it before you started recording. So.
No. Oh, you did, didn't I? Anyways, if you guys want to know that joke, you have to go listen to the Snallygaster episode.
Hey, travelers. Let us take this opportunity to thank everyone for watching The Infinite Rabbit Hole.
If you enjoy our shows, please subscribe to our channel right now.
And click on the bell so you can be notified every time a new video goes up.
Now, back to the Infinite Rabbit Hole.
You have to. All right. Often called by other names, such as werewolf, black dog, and dog-fiend, the Snarly Yow is another of our beloved phantom black dogs. With sightings in Maryland and parts of Virginia and West Virginia, the Snarly Yow has been around for many generations. Old Yow is described as being an all-black canine creature that is said to always be snarling at those that witness it. Glowing red eyes, sharp teeth, a red mouth, and a bad attitude all come in the package as well. The territory that the Snarly Yow has been seen in is an area of the country rich in history of bloodshed and hatred. The Civil War was fought on this land, and like the theme of this area, our subject has taken a turn quite different from our phantom black dogs. A monster born from the history of bloodshed and the lore of the Appalachian Mountains, the Snarly Yow gets its name from the posture it takes when spotted, snarling at its targets with its teeth clenched together and lips pulled back, accompanied by a long, deep yowl that seems to reverberate through your body. Witnesses describe a pitch-black wolf-like creature of incredible size and attitude, growling at those that cross its path, emanating an offensive posture and its hackles erect and positioning itself for attack. And like other black dog legends, it can simply just disappear. But unlike other subjects of the black dog phenomenon, the Snarly Yow is even known to stand up on its hind legs and run like a man. But this could also be witnesses getting two different creatures mixed up, as the Snarly Yow shares the area with a dogman-like creature known as the Dwayyo. One other detail that is quite different from other black dog legends is that the Snarly Yow has been seen in white as well as black, and has even been seen changing its color between the two from a small handful of witnesses. So how did I do, Sarah, on introducing the Snarly Yow?
I like it, and I like that we already got to the fact that it changes colors. There's an interesting thing with that color change. So that sighting where the Snarly Yow was white, it was goodness gracious, sorry. It was in Zittlestown, which is on Route 40 coming off of South Mountain, where a lot of stuff happens, a lot of creepy sightings. And so that sighting in 1962 in Zittlestown was this white dog, and it was headless, and it was dragging a chain, which is actually a mix-up of two stories from South Mountain Magic. There's a story of a prospector who basically ripped off his neighbor by moving some landmarkers over, and then he died. And his punishment when he died was he was carrying his own head, carrying like the rock that was moved, like the cornerstone, and it's burning hot in his hands, and he's dragging like the prospector chains with him up and down the mountain. So I think they kind of mixed that together because those stories were all word of mouth, and that's how we got this very weird 1962 sighting. And I think it's kind of cool because I don't see a lot of dog werewolf stories where they change colors and suddenly don't have a head. So it's like, cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll get into Zittle and Zittletown a little bit too.
Good.
But absolutely. What do you guys think so far?
Sounds scary.
I love you, Jeff.
It does.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on then.
Thank
you, Sarah.
Hold on. I had to turn around. So what I heard was scary. What about you, Jeff? Dogs? So I'm not sure what just happened, but I like it. That's true.
Good.
It is scary dogs.
You said it.
You said it. Scary dogs.
It like shows its teeth,
Yeah.
and it releases a yowl. What type of yowl are we talking about here? Is it like a yowl, or is it like a yowl? Like,
that was a little bit erotic. I don't know about that one.
I don't know. I haven't really heard much about the story. I mean, we keep going over this thing. Let's be honest, it's probably true. Like we keep talking about werewolves and black dogs and all these different various kinds. Kinds or types. So, I mean, I just mixed both of those words up. That was pretty cool. There's probably some realism to it somewhere.
Yeah,
So I totally failed to explain to Sarah what this episode is. This episode is actually part 4 in our Phantom Black Dog series.
Oh, cool. Okay. So you guys have done like the black shuck and stuff then, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
So
then it's
we
definitely
did
fake.
part 1, 1.5, part 2, which will be released sometime soon. Well, way before this episode comes out. And then this is technically part 3/4. So yeah, plus 5, 6, and 7 ready to go whenever I can get my guests. So everyone is completely bored of these black dogs now.
Oh, we hate it. Yeah.
That's why I was like, I need to get Sarah. We need to spice this up a little bit.
Yow.
Oh, that's
There you
probably
go.
like
There it
That's
is.
what it
There it
sounds
is,
like.
Jake.
Yow.
like a
Yeah.
death whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like it if it sounded like a banshee. That would be so creepy.
I blew the death whistle in the last black dog episode we have. I have one of these Aztec death whistles up here on my shelf.
Did it
Great.
work?
Yeah,
Cool. Awesome.
that's pretty
It
sick.
did. All right, moving on. Something familiar. The Snarly Yow may have some slight different lore around it than other black dogs from around the world, but there is plenty about it that is familiar as well. Other than having the general look of a phantom black dog, the Snarly Yow also has some habits that it shares with its brethren. The creature is known to block pathways, run at extremely fast speeds, scare animals, and physically affect the environment. It also seems to be impervious to attacks by rocks, sticks, and bullets. Due to when someone attempts to attack the creature, the weapon of choice simply passes right through it without causing any harm whatsoever, just like in other black dog legends. This ghostly canine is also known to be an omen of death to come as well, with lore of people succumbing to their deaths days or weeks after their encounters with the Snarly Yow. And although there are outlying stories of other phantom black dogs that cause harm or even death to their witnesses, the Snarly Yow once again follows suit by not having any direct deaths or injuries caused by the creature itself. Although there was an account of a man who suffered a broken collarbone after being thrown by his spooked horse after encountering our subject. And yet again, the Snarly Yow is also known to be a protector of sorts, by purposely causing its witnesses to divert their path, either temporarily or permanently, to protect them from some unknown force ahead on their path. Tear it apart, sir. Go ahead.
Oh,
You're muted.
You just
Mhm.
muted yourself.
I love Harbingers of Doom. I love that Snarly. Could we I know it's tough. Okay. So I like that idea, and then I like that that it's taken you off a path, so it's kind of got this like Morrigan vibe, like it's deciding who lives and who dies, and it's like leading you one way or the other. I'm gonna just talk some smack about Daniel Messick, the man who was thrown from his horse. In this story, he tried to kick the dog for like no reason, and I'm like, it's one thing if it's attacking you and you threw something at it, but like I'm picturing that he was just like, being kind of a rude person. So I have no sympathy for him and his collarbone.
Yeah, you deserve that.
Yeah, don't kick dogs, even ghostly ones. It's very rude.
Yeah, it's mean.
Mhm.
Super mean.
What a scumbag.
Daniel Messick and your whole family has spit on you. They probably still live in Maryland. They're probably like
family.
Your whole family. They work
To
at
the
the
10th
Wawa
generation.
down the road. They're mad at me.
Guess we're not going to the Snallygaster Museum.
I guess we'll take our business elsewhere. Probably. That's fine. Fuck them.
Goodness.
Comments from you two gentlemen?
Yeah. So none of the weapons used against this thing is ever like you said, it just passes through them, right? So I'm wondering we should try a new weapon, and it should be Jake's new mustache, because I guarantee you that thing will have an effect.
More of a
that thing is-
deterrent, yeah.
How do you weaponize a mustache?
Run away from the
Hogballing.
hideousness of this mustache.
Hogballing.
A WMD, dude. Weapon of mustache destruction. Better watch out. Like
I like it. I think.
I
it's
think
great.
he would do this. Like I think you do that, and then you like have to touch the thing with it, but you really got to like grab your mouth out to get it to work. Because so you can try it now.
Well, I have
We'll
a
wait.
theory. The theory is, let's say none of the bullets have harmed this thing. None of them have hit this thing. Maybe because it's not real.
Hey.
It's just
We're not doing that, all
Get
right?
him, Sarah. Get
Just
him,
a thought.
Sarah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
You just
Finish
took
him.
Sarah's life worked and hucked it right in the dumpster.
Jeez. Really, no, if you guys come out here, what we're going to do is I'll take you up to Dahlgren Chapel, which is terrifying. It's on South Mountain. And Madeleine Vinton Dahlgren is actually interred underneath the chapel. So you can tell that to her zombie when it comes out to get you at night.
Yeah.
You can tell
I'm
her
good.
it's not real.
I'll stay behind. You guys report back.
No, you have to go now.
You have to go.
I'll
Make
do it.
me.
I ain't scared of no ghosts.
Jake's not scared.
She's a zombie though, and she's a ghoul.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or ghouls.
I don't know. I'm kind of scared of them.
That mustache will be there.
Look, I just haven't shaved. All right, I'm on leave.
I like it. Don't.
It looks good, bro.
It's
It looks
you're-
good.
It's gonna be gone the day before my leave ends.
No.
Whitney's like, "You gotta grow out your mustache." I'm like, "Nope, sorry."
No.
Yeah.
I'm
I
with
like
Whitney,
it.
dude. Leave it.
I like it.
It's solid. It's a solid 8.7.
So okay, so there's never been someone. Let me make sure I got this right. There's never been someone that's been physically harmed by the Snarly Yow, right?
As far or from my sources, no. Sarah might have better sources.
Well,
though.
so I'm gonna say no. No one has lived to tell the tale. Maybe somebody got dragged off and eaten, and how would we ever know?
Where do the
You know?
stories come from then?
The people who didn't get eaten.
Duh.
Where
No
all
one has
stories
lived to
come
tell the
from.
tale.
Jeez.
The ones that didn't become ghost dog.
You're right. How stupid of me to ask that
God,
question.
they become dog poo poo in the woods. Hi.
You ever seen white dog poop?
Don't get me started.
Oh, that's from the
Listen.
Snarly Yow. Okay, cool.
I literally
real.
get so upset about this. It's like my biggest thing where I'm like, it used to be white. And like everyone's like, no. And I'm like, I know it was.
Yeah,
I know
no,
it was.
definitely
Everyone's
was.
lying to me. It's okay. I'm glad you know.
How I know
I've
it was.
Yelled
I've
about
seen
this many times.
Seen it. Dogs used to have cloacas.
Dogs used to lay eggs.
Dogs
Yeah.
still lay eggs. You guys don't. When was the last time you guys watched a dog give birth? How do you know whether they lay eggs or not?
I thought you were going
10
to
years
ask when's the
ago.
last time we laid eggs, and I was going to be like,
That too. Well, you because you're reptilian, but those two, I don't know.
Nope, just pogs.
Yep. He's
Hog
got his
eggs.
nest in his closet back there.
Ew,
All right,
it
all right.
smells like hamsters.
Moving on. Let's go. A little bit of history. Major appearances by the creature were in the 1800s, early 1900s, and even as recently as the 1970s. Of course, there have been minor appearances since and between these years, but the presence of the beast was definitely known during these time periods. And during these time periods, no places felt the pressure of its presence more than the area around South Mountain, Maryland, in the towns of Hagerstown or Hagerstown. Sarah, is it Hagerstown or Hagerstown? Okay. Hagerstown and Boonesboro, as well as the small town of Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. It is said that during these times, it was found that the Snarly Yow is repelled by the usage of specific religious connotations, such as the practice of hanging an open pair of scissors by the front door of your house. The scissors are left open to create the form of a cross, which is believed to be a warning to the beast to stay away. To understand a little more about the possible origins of the Snarly Yow, we need to take a look back to the original settlers of the South Mountain region of Maryland. There were many people that came over to the New World from other countries across much of Europe, but one area of Europe flooded South Mountain more than any other. That's right, the area with the richest history of phantom black dog sightings in the world, the British Isles of England, Wales, and Scotland. What do you think, guys?
Scissors.
say it, Jake.
Scissors.
I was just listening. I'm
Who's
just
gonna
like
say it?
shaking.
Who's gonna say it?
I was just shaking my head. I was like, why
So
waste
see-
a pair of scissors when you can get two sticks? Just
No,
like-
this is why the scissors, because it could be part of the fae. That's part of how you ward off the fae. That's part of how you tell if your child is a changeling or you prevent a changeling from switching bodies with them. You would hang scissors above their crib. So that gives, which is super safe. Good job,
And if-
Ireland.
and stab them, then you know that they were the
Then
devil
you know
spawn.
they were the devil spawn. But no, like the scissors, because the fae are repelled by iron. So back then, that would have been what they're made out of. So that gives me so much credence to the fact that it's a member of the fae. It's like an ultra terrestrial, and then it's being drawn to battle sites is more of like that Morrigan fae energy, where like they're drawn to violence or they're drawn to conflict and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you brought up the scissor thing because they could have just used sticks. Thank you
Well, then,
so much.
well, everything was made of iron back
buddy.
then, even the sticks. So I mean, they could have used iron sticks. They could have.
No,
used
everything
nails.
was made of wool.
Oh,
Everything is made of wool, even people.
Sheep squatch wool,
Ugh, I'd like
goat
to see
man
that.
wool.
it sounds like every other like pre-America sort of devil superstition. Like everything had something to do with the demons. So everything had to be, have a superstitious note to it. So it just sounds like another one of those things. And
Everyone
I mean,
was Zach Baggins back then.
what's that?
Everyone was Zach Baggins back then.
I
It
don't
was
know.
all Zach Baggins all the time. He thinks everything's a demon. That's his whole
so do I.
shtick.
But anyway.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah, CJ used to call me out for that. But anyway, I don't disagree with them, but I think that using, things that we make or iron or some sort of crystal or element or blah, 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 blah. It's just all, ancient superstition. But it sounds like just another one of those sorts of things.
So I'm guessing back then they might not even have been scissors, as they were like sheep shears or like some sort of farm tool rather than scissors. I could be absolutely wrong. Sarah, you know anything about that?
I think it's more likely that it was like a farm tool, because I don't think I can't imagine why the average person would have a spare pair of scissors in their home. It seems like that would be kind of an expensive thing. So maybe it was like you used one or the other. I'm not really sure like exactly, but it, given like that, the time period and the economic state of most people that lived there, it doesn't really make sense that they just have extra stuff
Right.
laying around.
It's not like you could just walk down to the corner and go to your Walgreens or Walgreens.
Walgreens.
It's a South Mountain joke there for you guys.
What was the time frame we're talking about again here?
It's like late 1700s through 1800s for like the
okay.
big.
And then slightly into the 1900s.
Honestly, I think sometimes, and again, I'm the crazy one, so my opinions will change day to day on this, but sometimes I think that, a few hundred years ago, there was a lot of crazy, like, cryptids or monsters running around, and that's why a lot of these stories, came about. Whereas today, I think it's just the folklore kind of carries on.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back a couple hundred years ago, like, totally could have been some wild stuff that was happening.
This is something that I was talking to somebody about at work. I was talking to somebody at work about this, and they brought up an interesting idea, and I'll just throw it out there, see what you guys think. So, all right. So hopefully Jeff can stitch that together and make it look good. But now Sarah is crisscross applesauce on the floor. And Mr. Beef said that is where you will sit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now he wants nothing to do with me. He's like, "Oh, now you're down here? No, I'm good.
Good
He's
to go."
off.
Anyways, we had some technical difficulties. Jeff, just do your thing.
I got it.
But the question I was going to get to, right? This person asked, "Why don't we get so many cryptid sightings now?" And I was like, Well, I mean, we do, but technically we just get like most 90% Bigfoot, 9% Dogman, and 1% everything else, right? It's just not a lot. And he's like, well, do you think that just like bears and elk and everything else, that maybe we just expanded too much and encroached on their environment too much? And or is it something that we just kind of grew out of, like it's like a sense that we lost due to our laziness and whatever, we just can't recognize them anymore? And I was like, that's actually a cool question. Let me ask my show one day, and here it is. Let's ask that question. So what do you guys think? Why is it that we see less cryptids? Like, let's say the Snarly Yow, right? There's no like modern I guess there might be a few. I don't know, Sarah, you could probably tell me I'm wrong there or right, but why would there be less modern sightings than there were back in the 80s?
Teddy Roosevelt, dude. Teddy Roosevelt, when he made the national parks, he relocated all the cryptids to the national parks.
We have talked about this.
Yeah, and everyone that works for the Smithsonian is a man in black. So
Jeff.
that's literally
Jeff's like, yes.
yes, it's true.
Go ahead, Jeff. Say things.
Yeah, no, she's yep. I agree.
Good old Teddy.
Good old Teddy. What do you think, Jake?
I somewhat agree. So I look at every cryptid from the angle of it being a possible flesh and blood thing versus a spirit or something, right? Unless it's a demon. In any case, I have to look at what we did as human beings to this nation in the very early stages when it came to hunting. So before there were wildlife whatever, when you have to go get a hunting license and all that sort of stuff, and you get your deer tags and everything, you're going to go deer hunting or elk hunting or whatever it was. We dang near hunted like this country, like the natural animals in here, the game animals, we dang near hunted them to extinction. So if I'm going from the angle of like most of these things maybe at one point were flesh and blood creatures, say there was a giant wolf out there or something like that, and maybe they're just really difficult to kill, which could lead into this whole like, oh yeah, they just, nothing can touch them and it passes right through, or folklore spawns from that. But if we destroy all of their natural food sources, or most of them, I really don't know what, when we killed off almost all the elk and all the deer, what it did to the bear and the wolf populations. I do know that more recently we had to bring in gray wolves back into Midwestern states because they were pretty much decimated from those areas. So I'm sure it had some effect. But then the, bringing it in the forestry service and the wildlife management and all that kinds of stuff to preserve and then boost the populations of these animals. And then also the construction of these, protected areas, hundreds of miles of, forest in the United States that's completely protected and closed off, areas that you can't go into. So I think that there is some level of possible fact, I guess, or truth that comes to that statement that, we could have killed off a lot of them just because we decimated their prey. But then making these giant, massive, areas of land where they could repopulate themselves, but in a protected environment where no one's around to really see them or mess with them or whatever. I mean, it makes sense to me. And on the other side of that, I think that the reason why, if it's not the angle of that they're real and they're real flesh and blood animals, I think that we're just less superstitious. There's not many things that go bump in the night that we're really freaked out about. You ask the average person if something bangs around in their house somewhere in the middle of the night, they're not going to think, oh my gosh, it's a ghost. They're going to say someone broke into my house, right? We're more aware of what's around us and with the possible things that can exist and can't exist, or should exist and shouldn't exist, right? We're not wrapped up in extreme superstition anymore. We can use flashlights to see in the dark. We're not like, oh, the sun went down, I guess the monsters are out, right? We can just shine our phone and be like, nope, nothing there. At least from what we can see. So I think that there's more information, more understanding of how the world works. And then also the angle of, if these were real, what could we have possibly done by destroying every animal that we could possibly eat? Be like, wow, these things are made out of meat. Let's kill all of them.
I mean, that's what happened to the plain. Well, not all of them, but the plains bison pretty much.
Sure, yeah.
Almost went extinct because
those
of all that.
Mountains of skulls and stuff,
Yeah.
that you can see in the black and white photos. It's absolutely atrocious. But until what we know today of wildlife, management, all that sort of stuff came about, it was just free range for whatever you wanted to do, however many you want to kill, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
Right on. What about you, Jeffrey?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
It's probably a mix between what Jake just said, and also, like, I do think that there's a level of our, how do I want to phrase this? Like, things have been happening, in my opinion, over the last like 100 years or so, where they've utilized technology and like scientism, right? My favorite word. And they've actually like made it almost impossible for us to perceive things that we used to perceive, right? Like, I think that truly as humans, we were able to do things superhuman like at one point, right? And that includes things like seeing partially to the other side, right? Other dimensional beings and things like this. So like, I think that all of that has just, we've been so dumbed down by everything that maybe we've just lost the ability to actually see some of these things that may or may not have been in this three-dimensional world we're in. Maybe it was somewhere in between, and now we just can't see it anymore.
Like a loss of a sixth sense kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that technology definitely did a big blow to the collective unconscious and our ability to perceive things and connect with other people. And it just gets worse and worse and worse as time goes on. But it definitely can apply to supernatural creatures or whatever we want to call them, ultra-terrestrials, John Keel style. That's why you used to see them a lot more. And now people are so like, think about like UFO sightings that went up during COVID because people were not looking up at the sky. They were at work and and then people were home and they're looking up. Like a lot of stuff just gets missed because you just don't care anymore. So I think that makes sense completely about why we're not seeing cryptids.
He sounds like he's destroying that room.
No,
There's a ghost behind her.
He's just he's like, so our doors have the original like locks from the 1700s. So they're really heavy, and he's just like kind of messing with the door, and the lock's not quite catching, so it's like loud. So.
Right.
Smash.
Little cryptid, you said it.
Mr. Beef is stealing the show.
What do you think, Jeremy? No one's ever asked you that before, I know.
Well, I totally am on board with Sarah when it comes to the national park system. I've said that plenty of times. I think there's some really fishy shit going on with the national park system. And there's definitely a reason why 90% of every national park we don't have access to, if not more than 90%. But man, I don't know, because I'm such not a woo guy, right? But the more you look into this stuff, it's like, okay, this is either complete BS or there's woo. Flesh and blood just kind of gets pushed out, right? And so I don't know, man. I'm undecided, honestly. It's a mixture of what everyone was saying, and I'm not going to come up with an original answer here. So I'm just going to skip and say ditto. Ditto.
Ditto to all of you, your disagreeing arguments.
Yes.
Yes.
Although you all disagree, I agree with all of you. Yes. All right. Let's actually talk about the Snarly Yow for a second. All right. We did that one. Moving on. Sometime in the 1800s, a man by the name of William L. was traveling along National Pike on his way to the cabin in which he lived with his family near Glendale, Maryland. At around 10 p.m., he encountered a very large and ugly black dog just outside of Glendale. As William got closer to the animal's position, the dog made its way into the middle of the road, as if it were attempting to prevent him from passing through. William began attempting to scare it off by throwing rocks, but according to William, the rocks passed right through the animal. Then, William began to walk faster, and the animal grew longer until it eventually covered the width of the entire road. Snarly Yow stared at William and began to snarl. William believed he was going to be attacked, so he attempted to punch the dog, but his fist went right through the animal and caused no reaction by the Snarly Yow. Soon after he began to try to fight the beast, it simply just walked off into the tree line and disappeared. William continued home without any other hiccups. Now, we all know many other accounts of these phantom black dogs where they momentarily block your path as a way of protecting you from something. Even though William had no other issues that night, do you think that the Snarly Yow was simply protecting him from something else? Remember, the likes of the Dwayyo, the Snallygaster, Bigfoot, Sheepsquatch, and Devil Monkeys have been spotted in this general area and around this time frame. So what do you guys think?
Okay, so just you could be saved from something and never know, right? Like you
Right.
have that multi-dimensional theory that like something splits off, you went somewhere else, maybe it was the Snarly Yow got involved. So just you may not even know what you were, Kieran, for goodness sakes, what you were saved from. So he doesn't necessarily have to have a close call kind of story. Hi, Kieran. But I think it's interesting. There's one other in this area. There's the DC demon cat. That's like spotted in Congress that becomes really big and like jumps at you and then disappears. And it's been spotted before like national tragedies. So I kind of want to just throw him in there, even though he's not a dog. He gets a spot.
So what do you guys? I mean, this is something that we've seen in other black dog stories too, right? Where this animal steps out and blocks you. Like, let's take for example, I don't know, I can't remember the exact name, but the one who was riding his bicycle and came across what he thought was Black Shuck, and Black Shuck was just simply growling at him, and he got off his bike because he was getting ready to fight it. Remember?
Yeah.
And a dog or a car came through the bushes behind the dog and almost ran him over. If he didn't, if he wasn't off of his bicycle in time for that car to come through, if the dog wasn't there forcing his actions, he would have been toast by a drunk driver. So, what do you guys think?
So this actually would make sense going back to my theory on the last little bit, right? Like we don't have that perception, that sixth sense anymore. But, if you take into account like instances of extreme fear or shock or trauma, like in the moment, it's possible that you get a glimpse of that sixth sense again without even realizing it. Like your subconscious somehow unlocks that ability for a split second. So maybe you do get a glimpse of something in this ultra terrestrial, realm, right? And then boom, the car comes through the bush, right? Like that kind of makes sense to me.
Right on. Real quick, I'm going to jump into another encounter. This is probably one of the more famous ones.
Oh, Jake doesn't get a say? Okay.
No.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I thought you did. Go ahead. Jake, what do you think?
Oh, I don't have anything. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Thank you. Really?
I took his answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Jeff took my answer.
Sorry, Jake. We'll start with you next time. A man only referred to in George Dudding's book, The Snarly Yow, as Mr. W, was a man of impeccable marksmanship. One day, he was walking along the National Pike when he encountered the Snarly Yow crossing the road in front of him. When the dog noticed Mr. W in the road, it turned towards him, showing its teeth, and let out an aggressive growl. Mr. W grabbed his rifle off his shoulder and took aim at the beast, and at close range fired a dead, accurate shot right into the monster dog. But as he watched, his shot seemed to drive right through the dog with absolutely no effect. He became shaken at the possibility of his rifle not being able to protect him from this gigantic and angry mutt. He reloaded and fired another shot into the beast, only to get the same reaction. Nothing. Then went on to repeat doing so. He had fired a few more times with absolutely no effect. The realization of his situation sent this brave, sure-shot mountain man running in the other direction for his life. On the north side of U.S. Route 40, there is an information plaque that has a few tidbits about the Snarly Yow and is easily available for all of the public to see. On this plaque, the story of Mr. W is included in a light blue block on the right side. She's smiling. Say things, Sarah.
My kiddo's just making so much noise.
Okay.
Yeah, that plaque is super cool. It's right by Dahlgren Chapel and right across the road from South Mountain Inn, which was Madeleine Vinton Dahlgren's summer home where she wrote South Mountain Magic. And then you kind of go down and then you have Zittlestown. It's a really spooky area. Like, it's terrifying. I've been up there many times, and like being up there, like as the sun's going down is really unsettling. You can just feel this like creepy presence coming off the mountain. So like it makes total sense why all these scary things happen there. But it's really fun to like drive past and see people looking at it like they think it's going to be a Civil War battle information sign, and it's about like cryptids. It's always really fun for me to watch people reading it.
That's cool. What do you think, Jacob?
I don't know.
Okay. Jeff, this is your turn to get skipped.
Fine.
All right. This one's short. Now, I don't normally like to include encounters if I cannot find a name or some other details like a date or a specific location at least. But this one was so different that I thought that I just had to share it. One man from South Mountain area came about the Snarly Yow prancing around one day. So he took out his large axe and swung it at the creature, cutting the animal in half. He was shocked when the two halves of the Snarly Yow began prancing around independently before joining back together and letting out a loud growl at the man. Then the Snarly Yow turned, leaped over a church, and vanished. The end.
Fake. Clearly, this guy didn't get the memo that weapons don't hurt it. So either everyone that's saying, oh yeah, I shot it and I punched it and I tried to fight it and all that stuff, either they're lying or this guy's lying. And I would say that it sounds like this guy's lying, considering that there's way more stories in the of the opposite.
Now, I'll tell you how he's lying. It doesn't become two halves. It's like an earthworm, dude. It becomes two Snarly Yows. Everybody knows that.
Everybody
that guy's
knows
foolish. Freaking foolish, dude.
What
Everybody
an
knows
idiot.
that.
Right, Jeff? What an idiot.
Yeah.
You know what that story reminded me of? No shit. When I was reading it, I was like, this reminds me of the story where in the Snallygaster episode where the guys at the train station were fighting this
Yeah,
dragon.
in Emmitsburg, and one of them's overalls came off and he was naked. Come on. Don't.
You weren't fighting this thing for an hour.
Ridiculous.
And then Sarah, in the episode, she goes, oh, he was fighting a dragon of some sort.
He was. He was fighting a dragon for sure. One-eyed dragon, absolutely. So ridiculous. Yeah, this the Snarly Yow like cut in half. I also need to know, did the story specify, was it like widthwise or lengthwise? Because that matters to me.
This is complete horseshit.
It's a pretty strong axe blow too.
Yeah.
Man.
Right?
Was it Paul Bunyan?
No.
He was like
nameless. Maybe
it was Paul Bunyan.
It didn't
He's
say
the only one that would have a big enough axe.
The book literally didn't say it wasn't Paul Bunyan.
So it was.
Oh,
fact.
shoot.
Yeah. So.
And by those standards, it could have been like, I don't know, Teddy Roosevelt. Could have been anybody.
It was Lizzie Borden.
I don't know who that is.
We're just gonna make wild accusations. It was Jack the Ripper.
You know what? Let's put this on a celebrity. Let's continue.
Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah,
I like that one better.
Fuck Tom Cruise. Yes, Tom Cruise goes around slapping ghost dogs. We're gonna start this rumor. Everyone start a hashtag Tom Cruise slaps dogs with axe. There you go.
Well, he does something weird with fish, so I don't want to get into it.
He also goes onto Navy ships and treats everybody like scum. So
that makes sense.
Well, it's because the enlisted are scum. We deserve it.
We are scum. We're dirty, trashy pogs.
Dirty scum.
Little pog balls.
Yeah.
All
enlisted scum.
Yeah, scumbags. Hear that, Jeff? You need to enlist so you can become a scumbag.
I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Appreciate the offer, though.
This is another short one. Actually, you know what? This is literally the one that Sarah was talking about in Zittlestown.
That dog kicker.
So we're gonna just completely skip over the white yow because
I mean we could slander the dog kicker though if you want.
Okay, well, here we go. This is what I have for it, and then Sarah can chime in because I don't think I had the whole story here then. So in George Dudding's book, The Snarly Yow, he tells a story of a woman from Zittlestown that had a run-in with a white version of the Snarly Yow when she was 15 years old on the intersection of U.S. Route 40 Alternate and Zittlestown Road. She was with her 16-year-old cousin, and it was just after dark in 1962 when the two teenagers saw what looked to be a white and translucent dog. She described the dog as looking headless and wearing a collar and chain. Even though the dog was a good distance away, they could tell the chain/leash was metal because of the sound it was making while it was dragging along the pavement. Done.
How did they know it was a dog if it didn't have a head?
Yeah.
Could have been a big fox or wolf.
Could have
been a raccoon.
Could have, yeah. Could have been a giraffe.
It said dog on the side of it. Duh.
The head.
It was a video game, and its life bar was above it, and its name
said dog.
was Dog.
Yeah.
No-headed dog. That's what it said.
Old doggy no head.
Old doggy no head.
That's gonna be the wrap. So we've got the Snarly Yow and Old Doggy No Head, and it's gonna be like the hottest track of the year. I'm really excited.
And Jeff's gonna throw it down. Mom spaghetti. Look at him. Whoever made it this far into the episode is laughing right now. Good. Okay.
They should get a prize.
Not much to talk about here, so let's go ahead and move on. Dudding also tells a story of a man from 1976 that was driving near Boonesboro, Maryland, when he suddenly saw a dog in his headlights. The man slammed on his brakes, but was too late. Even though he felt no impact, he was sure he hit the poor animal. After the man stopped his car, he got out to see if the animal was in any shape to help and assess the damage of his car. To his amazement, there was no body in the road, and there was absolutely no damage to his car. Just as he was beginning to feel better about the whole situation, he heard a low growl come from behind him. When he turned around, he locked eyes with a massive black dog that was walking towards him around the backside of his car. The creature was growing more and more with every second that went by. The man jumped in his car and locked all of the doors and turned on his ignition. The dog bent down to look into the driver's side window and locked eyes with the man once more. This time, letting out a deafening howl, the man shifted the car into gear and took off as fast as he could, never looking back. This encounter is one that seems to repeat a lot. I do not want to dilute these stories with ones that literally tell the same thing, plus or minus a few minute details. Just know that once the invention of the motor vehicle came around, the most common incident involving the Snarly Yow was it being hit with a car and causing absolutely no damage. And the dog was seen shortly after the incident snarling at the witnesses before it disintegrated into nothing. And trust me, when I say many, I mean there was a lot of these stories. Go, tear it apart, guys.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It sounds too much like the perfect movie scene. You know?
Ooh, yes.
Like it's somebody just saw a movie and was just like, yeah, man, that happened to me too.
Yeah. And that's a common sleep deprivation thing too, when you're driving and you think you see something in the road. So like, I don't know if it was a Snarly Yow. It's probably just, they were just tired.
That is a good point. Because this is something that that gets brought up a lot in the black dog folklore. Go ahead, Jake. I know you got something.
Well, I was gonna say that this guy's obviously never hit anything before. I mean, you feel yourself hit a rabbit. Like my one of the guys in my one of my coworkers, he hit a dog, a German Shepherd, 2 months ago, going 45 miles an hour, and it totaled his car. So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, there's no like, oh, I may have hit it. I'm not certain though. I didn't feel anything. No, you definitely feel something. But I agree. It sounds like a really easy thing to make up.
Yes.
I will give it this much though, because I used to drive up that way a lot, and I drive a Tesla and I do self-drive. Stop. So you're fine. drive, if it sees something in front, it does this like crazy warning, and it's like forward collision warning, and it stops the car. And it did that. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It did that a lot in that area. So maybe it was a Snarly Yow. I don't know. I never saw anything, but Elon Musk did.
Ooh, Elon, he's
My
watching you.
my wife's new Escape does the same thing, but it did it the other day when there was a bicyclist in the bicycle lane, and he was really close to the line, and it started just going off.
So scary.
And I was just like, but they weren't even in front of the car. So honestly,
Yeah.
like a bush on the side of the road.
Yeah,
could do
they're
that,
so
honestly.
sensitive. Yeah.
I'm trying to find the name of this movie.
Are there bushes on that road? Trees,
I think there are,
perhaps?
but I also don't think that Elon Musk would ever do any wrong. So obviously, it's perfect technology that works every time. I mean, come on.
Get her, Jeff.
Definitely not going to turn into a transformer.
Don't get me all fired up.
I want to get you all fired up, so you rap.
I'm not
Come
going
on,
to
Mom
rap.
Spaghetti.
It's not happening. Okay. Just
Your
put it
beard's
out of your
weird.
mind.
Your beard is
There'll be
weird.
no rapping.
Stop yelling at the mic.
Oh, that's funny.
But I could go off on a tangent about Elon Musk, but I'm not going to do that on this episode because it is has nothing to do with this episode.
Very, very well. Very well.
Okay.
Yes. He's the leader of the New World Order, we all know.
He is.
He's the transhuman.
I had to get the mark of the beast to open my car, so it's already happening right here. Just kidding. It's under my bangs.
Moving on.
I'm going
All
to
right. So I totally skipped a whole section. Why did I do that?
Demons.
Amateur.
All right. Michael Zittle was born in present-day Zittlestown near Boonesboro along the range of South Mountain of Maryland in 1798. Much of what we know of Zittle comes from documentation by way of a book called South Mountain Magic, Tales of Old Maryland by a woman by the name of Madeleine Vinton Dahlgren in 1882. In her book, she describes Michael Zittle as the wizard of South Mountain and the, quote, the high priest of all this evil practice. Zittle was a practitioner of dark arts and was known far and wide for his works. He came to be known by many titles such as sorcerer, black magic wizard, conjurer, hexer, spellcaster, and charm maker, as well as being known as openly practicing witchcraft, Satanism, and demon worship. Yet some of his closest friends and colleagues simply describe him as a faith healer. Zittle never charged for his services, but eventually ended up publishing a book of spells for the easier, less serious spells that were commonly asked for by many people. Spells such as restoring stolen property and proceedings following a horse theft. The book was published in 1845 under the title A Friend in Need or Secret Science, and was the only way that Zittle was known to make money off of his services. But why are we talking about Michael Zittle? Well, it is thought that the Wizard of South Mountain was responsible for conjuring up a few different mythological creatures or spirits in the area, one of them being the Snarly Yow. In our episode on the Snallygaster, we briefly dove into the history of the National Road and its possible influence on the birth of the Snallygaster. National Road runs directly through Zittlestown, Maryland, and at the time of its opening in 1849, it was common for travelers of the National Road to stop at this spring on the Zittle property to get a drink for themselves and their horses. During this time period, an extremely large black dog was known to scare the wits out of these travelers as if it were protecting the section of the road that the Zittles call home. Freshwater springs were important to life in that time, and it was the thought of the locals that Michael Zittle initially conjured up the Snarly Yow to protect his freshwater spring. So what do you guys think? That's all I have, by the way. That's the end of the episode.
That's interesting. So I do believe there is a such thing as magic, right? I do not think anybody should practice magic personally, but I do believe it's a thing. And I also know that water is an important aspect of that, right? Like springs or under, like aquifers and all kinds of stuff, right? Like natural formations of all kinds have something to do with like the geomancy, right? Like ley lines, all that good stuff. So the fact that some dude might have been performing some form of magic and it ties to a spring and it ties to these beings that could be otherworldly, I could buy that.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's dead on. And it's interesting her take on, because she was obviously very religious. She, built this church, all of that. So her take on what the Zittles were doing, and that kind of magic is called like powwow, and it's pretty big around here and into like Pennsylvania. I don't know if you guys have ever covered the powwow murder, the Nelson Raymeyer murder of the powwow folk healing guy, but a lot of their magic is really weirdly specific stuff, like getting stuff back and horse stuff, and like the big one is to stop bleeding. There's like this thing that you say over the bleeding. Shh. He only does this when I'm talking. Poor Bubba. But it's very interesting to see how she discusses him and her perception of him from such a religious standpoint versus what everybody else felt about him, because he did a lot of good in that community and helped a lot of people. Could he have conjured up a Snarly Yow? Probably. I think if anybody could, it was like his little tulpa moment. But I stand the wizard Zittle. He did nothing wrong. He's fine.
Jacob?
I agree with the magic statement. Definitely think that it's real to an extent. I've heard of the whole, I think CJ talked about it, conjuring up something or willing something into existence and burning leaves, whatever type of leaves he said. But like something happening on the other side of the universe and all this sort of stuff. I don't buy that one bit, like at all. Anyway, but I definitely think that there is some extent that comes, some sort of something that comes from demon worship and witchcraft and all that sort of stuff. But that it's definitely not good. I don't know. I don't know about the whole conjuring something into existence. I mean, I would imagine that with that sort of practice, that the only thing you could bring out would be maybe the spirit of a dead person or a demon. And for that, I have to reference back to biblical stuff. And once again, with like the last one, I don't recall there ever being a situation where an angel or a demon represented themselves in the form of an animal, though I don't think that it's entirely impossible. And certainly the Bible doesn't include everything that's ever existed. Yeah, interesting take for sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Right on. Like I said before, in a previous Phantom Black Dog episode, I think that because of the sheer number of these Phantom Black Dog encounters and stories and folklore and everything, that there's got to be something there. Specifically, the Snarly Yow, I'm not 100% sure. I think it's very interesting. I like the idea of Michael Zittle creating it to protect his spring, although it does sound a little too romantic for me. As just kind of it's too woo, it's too sexy. It just I don't know. It just creates too nice of a story for it to be true. If that makes any sense.
It works too well, and a
Right.
lot of stuff got blamed on him. So like, because folk magic and that powwow magic incorporates a lot of elements of Christianity, a lot of people found it to be blasphemous. So there were, the people that really liked him and then the people that were very offended. So I think he became a scapegoat for a lot of things in that area at the time.
Right on. So I'm still up in the air, although like I said before, I think I'm leaning towards these phantom black dogs being a real phenomenon. And the Snarly Yow is definitely one of these phantom black dogs. So, Sarah, before we let go, what did I miss? Do you have anything else that you can add to
I
all of
think
the?
that you crushed it, honestly. Sadly, the Snarly Yow doesn't have as much coverage from like the press. It's a lot more like really old timey stuff, and then the occasional word of mouth. So it doesn't have the same, as Jersey Devil and Snallygaster and Sasquatch. You don't see a lot of that kind of stuff. So it's harder to find stories that aren't so over the top ridiculous or so out there, don't have any real source. So it's a more difficult one to cover, but grouping it in with other black dogs was a good idea because it's definitely part of that, and it was part of the folklore that was brought over by the settlers, who came from England.
Now, to finish off this South Mountain area's folklore trio, I have to try to create an episode on Dwayyo, and I tried already,
Yeah,
and it's just not there.
there's not enough.
It's not.
No, it's really
Um,
a bummer.
I
but
think I think a reason why it could have such less popularity. I mean, this is the first time I've ever heard of it. Obviously, this is Maryland, but I lived in Virginia for 10 years and never heard of it, right? If I had seen a massive black dog or giant wolf or something like that in the woods, I would more than likely say I saw what I think I saw, which would be a giant black dog or a black wolf or something like that. I could look right at this thing and not think Snarly Yow, because I've never heard of it before. So maybe that name has just been somewhat lost to history, right? People still see the same thing, but they don't refer to it as that. So when you go look it up, you only see these all these people back then that called it the Snarly Yow, versus now where I agree, you could say, well, it's in the black dog category because it is, right? It just has a specific name for a specific group of people or a specific area or whatever it is,
So, yeah. Real quick,
I've seen
I
a black
want
dog before,
a Labrador.
Yeah, it's big too.
Real quick, before we let Sarah have the mic and let everybody know where they can find her, I want to go over real quick my sources. The first book is, of course, Miss Madeleine Dahlgren's South Mountain Magic. Awesome book. This was thanks to Sarah for pointing this out to me. Another one that was recommended to me by Sarah for the Snallygaster episode was The Mysteries and Lore of Western Maryland by Susan Fair. Also a fantastic book. There's not too much Snarly Yow in here, but it is mentioned.
You
There's
guys really need to get Susan Fair on the show, by the way. She's an amazing guest.
well, maybe next time you come on, you can bring her with you.
I'll try.
Okay. And then the last but not least, George Dudding's Snarly Yow, where he touches a little bit onto the Snallygaster and the Dwayyo. Also, anything from George Dudding is a very good introduction to anything. I have plenty of his books, and he does a very, very good job at introducing a topic to you before you do your deep dive. So, Sarah, you know the thing. Do the thing where you tell everybody where they can find you and
Sure.
who you are and all that stuff.
Okay, I'm Sarah Cooper, the owner of the Snallygaster Museum here in Frederick. So on Instagram, we are American Snallygaster Museum. We are snallygastermuseum.com on the internet, and I still have not put anything on my TikTok, so I'm not even going to promote that.
Well, we just started our TikTok. I'm going to go ahead and put that out for Kenzar because Kenzar is spearheading our TikTok. Look for us on TikTok. I don't know what we're called. Do you guys know what we're called?
Infinite Rabbit Hole Pod, I believe.
Infinite Rabbit Hole.
I was going to say something
Pod.
probably about Infinite Rabbit Hole. If I had to put my finger on it.
Infinite RH Pod
Infinite
is our thing. Yes, Infinite RH Pod, all one word. Check it out. We need 1,000 followers so we can start going live. You guys can laugh at us and crack some jokes live, and make. All right, so that has been our episode on this Snarly Yow. How do you guys think we did? Leave us a comment and stop by our Facebook group. Remember, when you go to facebook.com and you search Infinite Rabbit Hole, join both the white and the black logo. The white logo is our page where you can catch up on all the news Infinite Rabbit Hole and tag us in your posts, as well as the black logo, which is our group, which you can join in on the conversation and check out some of our really cool articles that we post, and all of the other travelers post as well as some authors and cryptozoologists and researchers and the such, right? And then of course there's the random, every so often we get blessed with a conspiracy post by Jeffrey, which is always fun, but he seems to always forget us, but that's okay. Yeah, he'll post on the Shadowban podcast group all the time, but us sometimes. Anyways, do you guys have anything to say before we sign out?
Yeah, hit us up later, and we'll make Jeff do a rap and throw some sick beats behind it
While he's eating spaghetti.
while he's eating spaghetti, mom's spaghetti.
We will not be doing that.
Can you go to your mom and ask her for some spaghetti?
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
And then rap about it.
And you need to wear a sweater.
Yeah, just like that. Just wear what you're wearing now.
Yes.
You like this?
Yeah,
That's
very
cute.
very dark.
Well, we lost Sarah. She had to go. Mr. Beef needed to take a nap. But always a pleasure, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. Yes.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Until next time, travelers. This has been another path on the Infinite Rabbit Hole. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.